Oh, let me backtrack just a little bit. See, here's the house. There's the trailer. That's actually a library. I got about 7,000 books out there, and there's not much else. I put my feed out there right now. This I want to more heavily plant with fruit trees, which I've had in the past. These have died off. But where the drive comes down and goes around the house to the north and around what is my garden plot and then out the back road, I think for the purposes of acknowledging that this is my fire vector and my wind vector, that I want to bring it from the road straight through along the property line and then curve it right into here. So I want to leave enough room in the design for the drive to come through here, but it's still just a farm track. I'm not paving it. I'm not even putting down gravel. I'll just start taking a different route. These are bur oaks. There's a Chinese pistache. Yeah, there's a Chinese pistache. This is a scarlet oak. There's a Texas red oak on the far end. This is a post oak. There's a maple, a post oak, a pecan. There's a persimmon over there. Most of these large oak trees were grafted in 1927 by Mr. Wolf, who's a well-known local nurseryman, or was. They were grafted the same year my father was born. So, I want to cell graze the entire property at various times, but I can easily do it here, and I don't want to use electric fencing. I want to use stock panels. I think it'll be more expensive, but I can build on it incrementally, and stock panels don't require me to replace batteries, and they're not contingent on anything, and they'll hold in whatever it is I want to hold in. I can do some swales through these trees here. Me and Chris marked off one contour line right here a couple of months ago. The flags are still in there. I didn't do all of the ones up front because they're going to bale hay up there before too long. I sell hay off this place right now. And what I'll have up there is alleys, and I can bale those, I can graze them, I can do any of that stuff. There have been 3 fenced paddocks that are in various stages of disrepair, which encompass 3 or 4 acres that starts up there alongside the driveway, goes to the northern edge of the property, and all along, even with the old chicken house, which you cannot see from here. It's behind some pear trees and stuff. But those 3 paddocks are not going to stay the same. But that shed, which is all it is now, is the focal point for all of the livestock activity as it comes into contact with zone 1. My zone 1 is really large for a guy who lives by himself. However, this place is bigger than me, and it can support a lot more than me, and it can support a more or less a laboratory if somebody else wants to come out and try projects in the future. So I figured, besides that, I just have a lot of junk. Anyway, this is what years ago was the old chicken house. And this is orchard space where this tall Johnson grass is. And it's got some fruit trees planted off in there too right now. But this chicken house, this is where, and there is a somewhat fenced in chicken yard out here that's got a bunch of old shipping pallets and junk out of the chicken house in it right now and tall grass. But that's where all of the stock comes into contact with zone 1. So if I get 2 dairy cows, this is where my milking takes place. There's water here. And sheep and goats, and the pigs are further out, about 100 yards that way in that shipping pallet enclosure. Where the drive comes around, it doesn't need to. I'm going to take it around, straight down the property line on the other side of the house. This is all garden space, but there's some changes coming to that. In the design, this is a natural place for a long, narrow pond that would, I mean, it's perfect from as far back as I wanted to do it. But according to the neighbor, this ground just won't hold the water. But we'll see. I'm not convinced I can't do something. Back around here, in any case, with this road gone, this contour slopes off from the garden. The garden is going to change, because up to now these have just been a conventional row garden. Conventional in the sense that there's nothing's on contour. It's not, none of the beds are raised. This is just the way I did it for Dad. But I've got a keyhole garden over there, and then an herb spiral in the design just this side of the shade of those trees. But you can see how this goes down into a trough. This is the panhandle of land right there that goes down to the riverbank, and it stair steps down rather dramatically. And I'm not walking down there this afternoon, but I have other videos that show it, and I can link some of those. It's not fundamental to this part of the design at this point. This is hayfield, part of the grazing area. I've already got cattle coming up from across the river. There's droppings everywhere here that wander onto my place because I have no perimeter fence. That's the back road right there where that tall Johnson grass is along the old fence line. Here's a hugelkultur underneath this grass that I put in a year and a half ago, a little more than a year and a half ago, and then never planted anything on top. But I can close off this whole area and turn some sheep and goats loose on it for a few days. Clean all that up and get that planted and start doing the design for this, which I already know what this is supposed to look like in my head. And that's zone 1. It's part of a very large zone 1. But I don't think anything, I mean, I walk the length of this place daily, not down to the river, but to both roads. See, here's the back of the house, and all the birds, I want to move to this end of the perimeter of the back of the house, the backyard. I want to get them up out of the living area. It's just too much mess. And I've got one tractor that I built, and I'm working on tractor designs that are easy for a late middle-aged man in poor shape to drag around. But chickens work heavily into this, so do. Oh, the gray water recycling ends up, this is a low spot in what has always been about an acre garden plot that I've kept. But right here, and there is sort of a trough in elevation that runs through the backyard, and this is where I intend to bring the gray water. And I mean, you know, you can design perfection if you want it. And I thought, you know, I can design a little miniature Chinampa system right here in this half of what's always been my garden, with raised garden beds in between those little canals. There's a keyhole garden right in that clump of grass right there. You can't see it. It's almost finished, but never was finished. And it's got big limestone blocks around it. But I could fork that, a garden like that around that, and I think it'd be real appealing. And it wouldn't be that difficult. As to whether to hold water or not, I don't know, but there's a lot of clay right here around the house. Oh. I need cisterns off the roof. I wish I had a metal roof, because I don't think I'm supposed to drink the water off of a composite roof. But anyway, cisterns are in the design for everywhere.